Precipitate a new normal in this country. The words of the U.S. Attorney General Loretta Lynch. Let's cross to Dallas. Correspondent Gallagher Fenwick was listening in with us. Gallagher, before I ask you about the latest in the investigation, what's the mood where you are on that score?
It's very tense, Francois, it has to be said. And in the couple hours that since we've arrived in Dallas and we're right near the crime scene, you feel clear divisions, at least in the small perimeter that we've been evolving in. And this is America, or at least the South, being confronted to race and racism. And I'll just give you an example of that. There's a little bit of an improvised a monument being set up right next to the crime scene, and people have been dropping off flowers, words of support for members of the law enforcement community. And those who are doing that are predominantly white. And when you ask the black folks walking by what they think about what just happened in their city, you have very mixed responses. It has to be said, from one woman who was on her way to work who told me that she was somewhat confused, had mixed feelings, and would rather not share what she felt deep inside with the press about what had just happened. And another man just moments later came over, inquired about what we were doing, and when he explained, and I asked that elderly black man what he felt about what had just happened in his city. He said, payback. He said, in his own words, that too many black men are being killed by police officers, white police officers, very often without any kind of justice being served, no prosecution. So basically condoning what happened and the deaths of those officers. So it's a very tense mood, clear divisions along racial lines, at least in the perimeter where we are. This is a very small sample of the local population, but that is what we're feeling at this instant right here next to the crime scene.
Now, Gallagher, again, what do we know more about the investigation? We heard the mayor and the police chief say they wouldn't reveal anything. We saw that the attorney general took no questions. First of all, do we know if there was just one sniper?
Now, it's unclear at this point, and I can describe to you what I'm seeing. I mean, you have a lot of law enforcement officials from different agencies at work. You have local police, you have members of the ATF, you have the FBI that's been scouring the area. They're not giving much, simply because this is very much an investigation that's barely beginning, a very chaotic scene. The crime scene is vast. It is huge. It spans several blocks. So it's a complicated process, and the issue at hand is extremely sensitive, which is why they're being very careful in what they're communicating. You also have to remember that while these scenes were unfolding, police started circulating a picture of a young black man wearing a camouflage-style T-shirt with an assault rifle slung over his shoulder, and started saying that he was one of the suspects. That person eventually, quite quickly, turned himself in and then was ruled out as being a suspect. So there was a lot of confusion at first. And so law enforcement officials at this point are very careful in what they're telling the press. The numbers that we have are 5 officers dead, 7 wounded, so a total of 11 officers that were shot at, 1 civilian wounded as well, and a city that is in a state of shock.
And we're getting reports of the Associated Press identifying the suspected sniper as 25-year-old Micah Johnson, who was an Army Reserve, was in the Army Reserve. They say that about a half dozen police vehicles are parked outside his home in Mesquite.